Daniel. Hey, everybody. My name is, I'm an alcoholic. My name is Miguel Marquez.
Hey, Miguel.
Um, I'm here by the grace of God and the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I owe AA my life. First, before I get into all of that, let me say thank you, Daniel, for asking me to come and tell my story. He's right. I've known him quite a long time. At one time, I knew his dad and his parents, and we used to get together quite a bit. Matter of fact, my oldest son was born a few months after Daniel, like 2-3 months after, and my wife and Daniel's mom used to go to the doctors together. They had share pregnancy time, real good friends, and of course I became Daniel's dad's friend. At least I hope I was his friend. He was my friend. He comes from a good family, good man. I always enjoyed being around Jimmy, Daniel's dad. Good man, a good man. And matter of fact, we drank a few beers together, but he knew when to stop and I didn't back then. So I'm just glad that I'm here. I'm glad that I came and got my last white chip. And by the way, that was in the 10th of August of 1997. I've been sober ever since. I picked up that chip. The guy offering it said, this is a sign of surrender. If you want to walk with us one day at a time. And the last thing he said, you pick up this white chip, it may help you change your life. And it has. Finally, I got a chip that worked because not my first one. That was not my first. Not my first. Long shot. So if any of you guys here are having trouble and maybe, make it a month, 2 months, or a few weeks, or even a few days, and you pick up another white chip, don't feel bad. I did the same thing. For a long time. And but I'll get into that. I'm here. I'm a miracle. I know I'm a miracle, as you will hear. I have a home group. It is the Selma Problem Drinking Group in Selma, North Carolina. We meet on Monday nights at 8 and on Friday nights at 8 for close discussion. And we always enjoy having anyone that comes from another group to come and join us. It's a solid group, well into the traditions and recovery. And I'm glad I came to that group. And that group has been my home group since I picked up my last white chip. I also have a sponsor, something I never did before. And I couldn't stay sober before, but now, since I got the sponsor and it took me through the 12 steps, my life has changed. These 12 steps are really life-changing. I took the steps, with all the desire that I had in me to get sober. And this man took his time, and when we got to the 12th step, he told me that it's time that you give away what you received. You have a good message, and he, in so many words, I call it, he turned me loose to go and carry the message. He suggested that I do service work. He suggested that I get involved in a group level, the district level, area level, the whole thing. So I took off running after that. I do go into institutions, state-run prison camps, because I'm grateful. I spent many times in different county jails with DWIs while I was at my prime and drinking, and I could not seem to put the two and two together. If I drink and I get stopped and they pull me, they're gonna put me in jail. Somehow I start drinking and just no restraints. I got in behind the wheel many times. I'm not proud of that. And so I know what the inside of the jails look like, it being inside the cold cots at night, especially the first night, and waking up the next morning, just feeling so bad for being there. I knew I messed up again, promising I wouldn't do it. Yet by the end of that day, when I got out, I was already starting drinking. But let me go back. I was born in Mexico, and pretty rough. This alcohol was all around, and of course, what comes with alcohol is the behavior. And some places you get a lot of violence. Some places you get a lot of different scenarios. But in my home, there was quite a bit of abuse and negativity and lack of concern. And so I remember growing up. My mom, she was her job was in a bar. Bartending. Sometimes she worked in a nightclub. Sometimes she was a topless striptease dancer. Sometimes she was, all of that, the whole thing. And many men come in and out, different times, different faces, and they all, of course, I was just an object. I was just in the way, and I got a lot of abuse, and so I for a long time that gave me an excuse to drink. That gave me, I thought, a reason to drink. If you grew up like I did, you drink too. But I drank because I liked the effect. When I had my first drink at 15, I loved it, and I wanted to get that feeling from then on. So I'm one of the fortunate ones that was able to come here to the United States legally through the legal process. My mom, she finally married a very nice, good man from California, and he went, took care of the whole process, the paperwork and the appointments and the lawyers and the medicals, make sure we were okay. I had a little sister at the time, and I was... First, when they were dating, he would bring us to, me, and I had a half sister by then, 7 years younger. I was 7 when she was born, and they met when I was 10 years old, and that was a miracle, because before that, my recollection of growing up it's not good, very negative, and. So I feel like a miracle happened when I was 10, and this man came into our lives. And he used to come during summer school for 2 years while the papers, were being taken care of. He used to come in and bring us in California, during the summer school. And used to take us to Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm and all those places, for a child to have a good time. So, to me that was wonderful. That was great. So I was 14 when I finally entered the U.S. and I was welcomed by the Border Patrol agent, very nice man, and I feel like I'm one of the most blessed people that get to do that, especially in this climate, in this day and age. It's just a terrible situation where a lot of people trying to come in and they can't, and they have so many hardships, and they come from so many lands and so many, all of that. And here I am, looking back at my life, I suffered a little bit of violence, a little bit of hurt, but I still had my mom, and she took, because of her. So instead of blaming my mother for all that treatment that I thought I got, it was so bad and it was so this and that, instead of that, now that I've been sober, I'm grateful that I can say, I had a great mom. I had a good mom that took care of me, and I never went hungry. I may have got hidden and banged and all of that a few times here and there, but I probably deserved it. I was a guy, and I loved to be out, stay gone all the time, come back on my sunset, and, just growing up. That's part of growing up. So really and truly, I had it, you know, a lot better than I thought I did. So, but this woman, she bought a home back when women, you know, were hard to know that they were, you know, successful and financial savvy, and she was a good business and knew how to take care of, you know, good. She knew, you know, the finances, and bought a home and sold it and made a profit, and you know, all of that while I was growing up. And you know, came to America. She tried it, didn't like it. So when I got out of high school, she went back. She said, "I'm going back where, you know, where she was used to." And a couple of years later, after I got out of high school, I came into the military, and that's when I last saw my mother. When I came, and I signed up for the 82nd Airborne. I wanted to be a paratrooper, and this is towards almost going to the tail end of Vietnam. Vietnam was kind of winding down, and I prayed that I wouldn't go into war, and instead they sent me down over here to the 82nd Airborne, where I served the rest of my time in the military. And you know, I drank some while I was on post, and I drank some away from post, and I was hanging around the crowd that really liked to drink and do other things, and you know, wild, and life is nothing but a party. And you know, I almost got all the way into that lifestyle, but something told me, you know, that something kept me from, you know, keep doing the things that they did. I think after one guy kept going day after day, "Man, you need to try this, you need to, you know, smoke this, smoke, man, you're gonna feel better." I said, no, you know, I just want to drink. "Here, man, you go this and that," you know, really pushing and selling it, and tell me how good it's gonna be, and or somebody else will come, "Oh man, this is gonna be a good trip," blah 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 blah. But nah, I may try to, you know, one here and there, but it was nothing like alcohol for me. So. And then when they started getting in trouble with the law and everything, you know, I got away from it. And instead I went to work part-time in a restaurant washing dishes, because I didn't want to hang around and end up, you know, like these guys were. So, you know, somewhere in the back of my mind, you know, I had some kind of, you know, where I drew a line, or I don't want to go that far, or, you know, little was I to know that years down the road, that little safety in the back of my mind would just be gone, dead, you know. And so I met my wife at the restaurant where I worked, and met her, you know, later. We got married after I got out. And like I said, after marriage, I started my drinking, picked up here and there, but not terribly bad. And but the thing that kind of made it bearable, or kept me from going all out right away, because, you know, I love to drink. I loved it since 15. And so here I am in my 20s, early 20s, 21, I get married, and, you know, something, you know, wants me to just go all out, and, man, if you're going to drink, start drinking and all of that. But something kept me down, or kept me, you know, at bay, my drinking at bay. This is when we joined the church, and started going to church, and that's where I met Daniel's parents and many other families. We were a family-oriented church, and I got involved, and for a few years, life went really well, and I got, you know, joined the men's group for this, the men's group for that. You did, you know, some kind of a community, or helping people in one way or another, and sports. They had a sports program also, and you know, I mean, I loved it. I also loved the work that I did, that I picked up on my, just before I got out of the military. I took a course that they offered for, you know, the Vietnam era guys, and I took up body and fender repair, as it was called back then. It's, you know, auto body collision today. And I've been, you know, I did that from the first day. I dedicated myself, and I applied, and I loved doing it. And I got real good at it. Not to brag, but just because my passion for it. I really like that type of work. So I did real well. Even still drinking minimum here and there. I would get out of hand some. But I went for like 10 years. 10 years before, in those 10 years, my tolerance for alcohol increased. I no longer got that buzz, from 1 or 2, 3 beers. It took more, and but I dedicated myself to the home and to the church. I just wanted to do what's right. I wanted to be a good man. However, alcohol started creeping in. Alcohol started, changing. I think the big book calls it twisted thinking. My thinking got started to, things like if the wife would say, you can drink a 6-pack or 2, when we get to the market and we get the groceries for the week, a couple of and in my mind already saying, that's not going to be enough. I'm going to want more. So, that kind of thing already came in. And then hiding money, putting money away so I could buy some more later, and things like that started going wrong. And so, of course, that with time that only gets worse because of the obsession that gets bigger. And the more I want to drink, the more it's going to take for me to get that feeling I'm looking for. So, at the 10 year, this was almost 10 years of marriage. By the way, that marriage, we had, I got 5 sons and 2 daughters in that marriage, and they all healthy and well taken care of at home. I had a stay-at-home mom, a wife that was very dedicated, caring, loving, supportive, and during those 10 years, I dragged that family around the state, for one reason or another. By drinking, I saw that my boss did not like me coming, after lunch with beer, and he was going to say something, so I started looking for another job, and I got another job. We had to move. Then I went to, heard about a different town that was hiring. I never had any trouble finding a job, but I dragged that little family, several places in the state, always looking for where to make the better buck. And so she would just say, okay, she took care of the home fantastically, did a fantastic job with the children, and all I did was, I took it for granted. My alcoholic thinking, always takes people for granted, things for granted, always makes me think that I deserve better, I deserve more. And that was the way my twisted thinking began. And I had no way to stop it, no way to change it. It just kept going and going. Well, at the 10 year, like I was saying, she really knew I was drinking more and more, and she started getting information about how to get help, and she would leave the little pamphlets around for me to read, in the bathroom too. So one day she said, I've been trying to get you to read this Bible, and finally all these little discussions, sometimes she'd be upset, but finally she said, you got to get some help. She really, quit suggesting. She really said it. She said things to the effect that I grew up with an alcoholic father. He was a house painter, and we would always move around. Being that rang a bell right there. And she would say he would always come in and say we got to move out because he had drunk the check and there was no money for rent, so we had to move out to another house. That kind of started ringing a bell too, and things like that finally made me decide I better do something here. And so I called my first call to Alcoholics Anonymous. 1982, in the spring, and we were living in Smithfield by now, and the other end of the line picked up the receiver and said, Alcoholics Anonymous, may I help you? And it made me feel real calm. It had a soothing voice at the end of the line. And I said, I hesitated for a moment, and I looked, and I know she was looking. She was wanting me to call, making sure I would call. And so I said, yeah, I'm calling. I sweating under, I think I might have a problem with my drinking. So he said, okay, have you been drinking this morning? And I said, no. And he said, if you can go until 8 o'clock, there's a meeting tonight at so-and-so. And he gave me the address and location and asked me, did I need a ride? And I said, no, I can get there. And so I made my first meeting ever in 1982. And like I was saying, I didn't get sober right away. I picked up many white chips, but I kept trying. And you guys loved me and welcomed me. AA everywhere is the spirit of love and wanting to help the new person. I always see it in every group that I go to, and I try to do that too in my own group when I see someone new coming in asking for help, and so you try to help me. For the next 5 years, I kept trying, and I kept making an attempt. However, even though I wasn't dedicated to AA, I did manage to put together some form of not drinking, and my life got better just by that alone, and going to meetings. The power of AA. To me, I feel like the power and the goodness of AA followed me at home, and it made my life peaceful at home, and it just trickled down to all my children. That's just my opinion, but I started a business around that time also, and I did real well, very well, and so eventually I slowed, I forgot about going to meetings on a regular basis, and eventually I started drinking, and this was in 1988, and when I started drinking, after a period of, I went full force. I couldn't stop it right away. The obsession came with a vengeance. The phenomenon of craving was so hard to resist. I couldn't stop drinking once I started. And again, I right away I started having DWIs, trouble with the law, quite often. So lost my license, the business went out the window. This is, in progression, like one domino after the other. And I would get, by then I had several vehicles in the lot that I had, I was always working on something, buying and selling, and that kind of thing. And I had several vehicles that I would get in. I put tags from somebody else in it. I would get pulled. I end up in jail, and another charge. And so for several months and years, I went through that whole cycle of being in court, having to do jail time, probation, then getting another DD. I had, in total, and I'm not proud of this. I am not really, but then that's what it took for me to get here. I had in total 7 DWI convictions. I had, at least that many or more with driving while license revoked, and then add to that fictitious tags, add to that no insurance, add to that trying to run from the law, add to, all of that. I could have got this. So Johnston County, I think that's probably, if I had to catalog where I spend the most time, I think Johnston County's at the top, and then Wake County, not so many, Durham County, Cumberland. I could not add them up. I don't have enough fingers and toes to count all of that. And the sad part about that is that while I was running and drinking and getting locked out, my little kids at home would stay, going hungry. They had no way to go to the store. We lived 5 miles out of town, and the wife had no way to get to the store and get, whatever she needed. Sometimes the lights would get turned off, and I wasn't around, and she didn't know where I was. So I really put her through a lot. I put those children through a lot, and I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of that. The good thing about that is, as much harm and as many bad memories that my sons and, my children have, now that I've been sober and I've done the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, that pain I caused is slowly, I turned it around into a good, when they see me, they don't act like, they want to run the other way or they're ashamed of their father, today, because of Alcoholics Anonymous, I've been able to build those relationships back into a good, father and son or father and daughter. I have grandchildren, and they all welcome me. They kept asking me to come and see them and come and do this and be a part of that. And there's a birthday party here, and all of that is the goodness of AA that I have today that I didn't have, because when I was drinking, I was just, all of that was going away, pushing it away or hurting it in some kind of way and damaging those, those lives. But I don't have to do that today. And I had to start moving out when I, like when I started drinking, I started moving out because my mind was just, I would go in blackouts and I would do and say things that I wish I wouldn't have the next day. So I moved out. One of those times I went to Durham for a couple of years, and I got a job up there and got a little room where I could walk to the job, and I would come home. I would come once a month. I would catch a bus on Friday from Durham to Smithfield, and then on Sunday I would catch a bus back from Smithfield back to Durham. And I tried not to drink while I was there. I tried not to, and I would come and I would promise that I wouldn't. And then while they went to church, I would find a way, even though, I gave all the money, I would find a way to borrow or get some and get a few beers. While they were at church, they come back home, of course, I've already drinking, and another disappointment. So that's what, another thing that alcohol, I have to remember that, alcohol, I cannot be dependable. You cannot believe what I say, what I tell you. I can just promise and I can do this and that, but the bottom line is I'm not going to be able to fulfill those promises. And my children started to get full of shame of their father. And this time, while I was in Durham, my oldest son, he was senior in high school, and after high school, he stayed at home because he had a driver's license. We had a vehicle. He had to do the driving for his family, for doctor's appointments, for grocery store, for laundromat. He's pretty much he was the driver and taking care of the younger ones. I kind of abdicated that place, but he took up for it. My second son took a part-time job after high school, and he would work at Pizza Hut until 11 o'clock each night, and he would feed the family, buy groceries, and pay the light bill. And my oldest daughter, she was around 16, and she was a musician, played in the band. She played the flute for the band and for orchestra. She was very involved with music, very talented. And this young man that we knew came with false pretense of taking her to a band competition or some kind of band event. And the wife, I didn't find this out until much later. The wife gave the okay for her to go, and because the guy was very insisting, very, we got to go because we're going to be late if we don't leave right now, so that kind of thing. And so my wife, she was busy, with other things and couldn't think, and of course she gave the permission. Well, my daughter ended up being kidnapped and taken in the middle of nowhere. The guy threatened her at knife point and attacked her and sexually abused her and violently. My daughter thought she was going to die that day. And by the grace of God, she got away. She got away, found her way home. When I found out later, I knew I was a big disappointment. I went into a bad drinking spell. That's all I needed to do. I was full of anger. I wanted to get a hold of that young man and just tell him what I do, some things that I cannot say. And it was just it was very painful, very painful. And I am so thankful that my daughter took help with counseling and that she was offered in school, and she took to it and did everything that someone in her case, the best thing that she could do, and she slowly started getting better. And for many years after that, she was very she was sure she would make her counseling appointments, and so that she could get better. And she did get better. She got better. Today she is a miracle. I'm so thankful for her because she could have turned a different way. She could have, like so many statistics now that end up in the streets or who knows where. And once again, I will say I feel like a great blessing has been given to my family, my children. That she is just a wonderful young woman. She put herself through college. She first married. She had 2 little boys. It didn't work out. She raised them on her own, single parent. And those 2 are decent young men today. My oldest, she had my oldest grandson, just got out of the Air Force on medical, but he's doing real well. And she has gone through, got her college degree, and then she went for her master's in education, and she is now in the internship program to become a principal of a school somewhere in North Carolina. So I got a lot to be proud of right there in that one, just this one particular one child that is a miracle. And I could go on each one of my sons and daughters, a miracle of what the alcoholism, the effects, all the hurt that alcoholism brings in when I drink. I hurt people. I do things that I wish I hadn't done, and the other person ends up getting hurt. All my children are hurt in one way or another. But every day since I've been sober, I've done my very best to I took the 12 steps with my sponsor, and when I got to my 8th and 9th step, I really, went after that, and I told them exactly how I treated them when they were growing, what I did, and what happened, and then I said from this point on, I will do my very best to change that, to be a father to you, to tell you things. I'm proud of you. I care for you. I want the best for you, which is opposite of before. before I was so critical and so demanding of them, and so they got to be perfect and they got to be this, and I was pushing. And I said, I am, saying I'm sorry is not enough. I will show you by treating you different and giving you, encouragement and being kind and respectful. And I have, to the very best of my ability, behaved and conducted that way. Because that's what, this program is about. It's about change. It's about turning about the destructiveness. And so if alcoholism, when I drink, makes me act in that way, and I want to change that, I am so thankful that I found the 12 steps, and they are the ones, the principles that I have applied. And so, even the ex-wife, I was 5 years sober, and she had told me to. My last 2 years, after she said, I have had enough. You've done nothing but hurt this family. Please go and stay away. Leave us alone. Leave. We can't stand to see you kill yourself with drinking. You got to please go, and don't come back. And so that was my last 2 years. But since I've been sober and I've done all this, apparently they see a change in me because, at 5 years sober, we decided we would give this marriage another try. And the one difference was that I had been sober. I knew exactly what I needed to work. I knew where my a lot of what was wrong with me. I knew a lot of what I'd done. I know what caused it. I know I'm afraid, and now I know where my anger comes from. So I want to change that. I know all this because of what we talk about here, what the 12 steps have done, what inventory is, what admitting and character defects. All of that comes into play now that I'm sober, and so I was so willing to be a family again, be a husband again. The only difference is that she was still the same. She always told me that I don't need help. You're the one that drank. You're the one that caused all this. You did this, you did that. And so when I suggest, why don't you go to Al-Anon? And third, fourth time I asked her, I said, well, okay. And so she came to Al-Anon, and then she didn't stay long. The reason for that is that, and I don't know if anybody from Al-Anon here, but I'm not talking down about Al-Anon at all. She said that, I go into an Al-Anon meeting and I hear, that so-and-so husband is drunk again and drank the paycheck and did this, ended up in trouble or got in trouble with the boss. And she said, we've already been through all of that. I should have been in Al-Anon back then, but right now. So by then, once again, she doesn't think she needs any help. And so I would come home, I'll go to a meeting, of course, and come back home, and she, is still a little wondering if I've been to a meeting or not, or if I've been somewhere else, that kind of thing. I overlooked it for a while, but then, it starts to be a little issue, and I said, okay, well, I just won't go to a meeting. I just, let's just, sit at home, do this or whatever. So I started to get away from AA, trying to make this work. And so, and that's not all, there were other things, we would start getting into discussion, playing cards, and, oh no, I didn't, you're cheating, or blah, blah, kidding, but then it starts to get a little tense, and, a lot of times I said, okay, no problem. So, and then just because the fact that I got away, and if I stay away from AA too long, I know what's going to happen, and I don't want to go back to drinking. So after 8-9 months, I said, well, I'm afraid that if we keep on, I'm going to drink, and I don't want to drink. So why don't we just remain friends? You know, you get your place, I get, you know, so we are together on holidays, we are together on birthdays, and so I think it's a much, much better the way things worked out for me. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it works for everyone like that. That's just my experience. And, but, you know, if you're here, if you're new, don't give up hope. You know, life is better after, you know, we come in here and we start doing the program. And my last few minutes, I'll talk about involvement in AA. I got you know, joined our home group in Selma. I got involved. I started, you know, I started going every day to meetings. I went to meetings every day. Let's see, about 2 years before I got sober, I finally realized that if I drink and I get behind the wheel, I'm going to end up locked up again. So instead of getting behind the wheel, I got me a bicycle. So that was my mode of transportation. And for a while, I had a bicycle. I came to meetings in a bicycle even from Smithfield to Selma, which is about 6 miles, but the main highway, Brightleaf Boulevard, is you know, heavy traffic. So I would go on a bicycle, you know, pedaling, and before I knew it, bam, you know, a cup of ice just flew and got me somehow. I kept going. Another time, somebody just joking, kids, of course, you know, some French fries go flying out of the car, and here I am. And so I said, man, now, if I would have thought what I think now, I would have said, yeah, thanks. How'd you know I was hungry? Yeah, but anyway, I went to meetings, and one time my bicycle got stolen right outside the meeting. I said, man. And the next day, this old timer said, come on, I want to show you something. After the meeting, took me to his truck, and he had me a real nice bicycle. He said he picked up, since he heard that I lost my bicycle. So, and that's, you know, one thing that AA has helped me to, you know, I came in with no clothes. Another time a member said, come here, I got something in the car. And he had a bag full of pants and shirts, just my size. And, you know, how did he know I only had like 2 pair of pants? Another man said, man, I was cleaning my closet and I found this here, I want you to have it. Brand new pair of tennis shoes, dress shoes, socks. Man, even underwear I've been given in AA from somebody that came with nothing. Every winter I had a coat, picked up a coat somebody gave me. And, you know, I cannot say enough thanks to AA, because not only, you know, it's given me a lot, you know, not just in the physical material, but the most important thing that I have, you know, recovery, sobriety, and the biggest tool, the most wonderful bridge to sobriety, I suppose, is that I got involved with service work and doing service with a GSR, with my district, serving as a grapevine rep, as a corrections chair with my district. I was GSR with my group, started going to area assemblies, and they were in Raleigh. By then, every year at the North Raleigh Hilton. If you ever have an opportunity to go to one of these, you don't have to be a GSR, you know, anybody can go. But when it comes down to vote, only the GSRs from each group are the ones allowed to vote in anything that's being discussed at the time. If GSR is not there, well then, you know, we have alternates. And I had been both in my group. I think it was around 2000, 2001, I was going as a GSR in Raleigh at the State Assembly, and they were several Spanish-speaking groups that have been meeting around the state, and they wanted to be part of the service, part of the assembly, be involved in it. And they were, at the assembly, there was a vote to allow the Spanish membership to join the area. So, it's a long process, and so it got unanimously voted, accepted, and then they would need an interpreter. And they announced from the podium, if anyone here is willing to help with Spanish districts and can speak Spanish, please, see us at the end of the, at the corner over there. And then I was sitting in that row with my district, and everybody in my district went like this. So I didn't know whether I didn't feel like I could do it, but I went and I tried it, and I started doing that service for the area, and I was there every assembly, every year, up until this past 2018 is when they finally found a rotation. AA does rotation in all the services, and so it was hard to find someone that that would. Every year we would announce in every group, please announce it in your groups. If anybody's bilingual, please come and help. A lot of times I was there by myself the whole time interpreting, and it was a wonderful experience. It just enriched my sobriety. Every time I do a service for AA, I've been doing the prison, AA in prisons as well since early sobriety. And then I was able to also go and, I wish I had more time to go into how we were able to get AA in the Spanish-speaking inmates, to get them help and get the groups started. And so it has been an interesting and wonderful journey of recovery. And all I had to do was surrender. All I had to do is come back and ask for help and be willing to accept the help. And then when you all told me to get a sponsor, I go through it, I do it. And you all told me to pray in the mornings. And, if you have a hard time praying, I heard this woman, have a hard time praying in the mornings, throw your shoes under the bed at night, so when you get down there reaching for them in the next morning, say a prayer, help me stay sober. And then at night, say a thank you prayer. And, I began a relationship with God back then, because I thought that God had turned his back, didn't want anything to do with me after all the things I've done. Even after being a member of a church and a good standing, and I threw that away. I messed that up. So AA is a way to help me found a relationship with God, and for that I am so grateful. And I get to meet new people. You guys here are new friends I haven't met yet, and I hope that I've said something that helps someone here. If nothing else, it's helped me a lot. So thank you for letting me share.